Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here once again with another video on The Flash Season 6, and yeah, interesting stuff to talk about. So yesterday I obviously made a video about like an interview with Eric Wallace talking about various things for later in the season, you know, in regards to story elements and certain things with characters. But there was a couple of things that came up of like stuff for much later in the season, and one of them was about Godspeed, and he said, yeah, Godspeed will come back, but I'm not going to tell you anything more in regards to that because it might spoil the story. And well, we got some Godspeed stuff, which is so coincidental, it's not even funny because I was even memeing it up that Godspeed would be on set this week, and it happened. Am I a prophet? I'm not too sure. But of course, they're heading into the last, I'd say about like what 2 months of filming roughly for The Flash. They usually finish around like early April, so definitely heading into that last like 8 weeks or so. They're up to episode 18. So this stuff is from episode 18. So there's not long left to go for the filming this season. So if there is some stuff filmed publicly, it should all be pretty interesting because it's all in the build up to the end. And similar to last year, and even I guess you could say for the first half of this season, you know, when you get towards that the end of the story, some of the set photos end up fairly interesting. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know all of your various opinions in the comment section down below in regards to what you think about these set photos, what gets you excited, any theories you have around them as well, because there are a couple of different ways to perceive this and look at it and see where it's going to go. So I'm interested to see what everyone's different opinions. So let me know all of them in the comment section down below. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support and I guess excitement. Now, obviously, spoiler alert for what's to come. There's set photos, so it's classed as a spoiler. So there's your warning. But of course, this stuff is coming from Canada Graphs. It's from his blog. He has the photos, more info. So if you want to go check out all the photos, all the info, all the goodness, the link to his blog post will be in the description down below. So click that, read it, let your eyes bathe in the Godspeedness and various other things from set. And yeah. But essentially, we're just going to go through his blog post for the most part, read out the main parts of it, or the relevant parts that I want to read out. And yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to do, so let's do it. So tonight they had a scene being done that included a couple of stunt scenes first, with Grant Gustin as well as his stunt double as Barry Allen, or the Flash, in a battle against none other than, no, not his arch nemesis of like, I want my money, that guy, not him, but none other than Godspeed. Yes, you heard that right, Godspeed, he's back. Now, there were a couple of scenes. So the first one they did was that they dropped like the Godspeed stuntman, obviously in the Godspeed outfit from like 3, 4, 5 stories up onto a vehicle. The vehicle's like sort of unknown whether it's a car or a truck because of angles and everything like that. But he was thrown on top of some sort of vehicle. Just go ahead and assume if it's a car or a truck. It's up to you. Now, after that, the stuntman for Barry and the Flash came out to do a scene where the Flash gets thrown into a van. Seen that happen a couple of times. There was then a scene where Godspeed seems to be looking down at the Flash on the ground, looking at him going, "You absolute petty human being. Look at you, just such a worthless person." Anyway, yeah, looking at the Flash on the ground, and might be kneeling down towards him, and that's when the Flash zippies away out of there, just runs away as quickly as he can, because he's like, well, I might die here. However, Godspeed was not the only returning character from last night on set. After Godspeed had his first set of scenes there, he left, and someone who Canada Graphs was never able to confirm if it was the same person, came in to do scenes dressed in a cloak with gauntlets that glowed green, which, if you've watched the show, that should sound straight away, sound familiar, and that's Pied Piper. Pied Piper, or Hartley Rathaway, is back on the show for at least this episode. And he's not a villain like we saw in that first appearance. He's obviously helping Team Flash. And obviously that lines up with what we'd seen happen, in Season 2, that sort of segue and that change. Now, the pair of Pied Piper and the Flash did some scenes where they appear to be fighting Godspeed as they both look up. So that's like a really cool scene potential that you have Godspeed versus Pied Piper. Pied Piper and the Flash versus Godspeed. Now, at one point there was like some yelling and stuff, as if like they're yelling out for the Flash. Canada Graphs was unclear whether it was like a crew member like calling out a mark or calling out a cue or something to one of the actors, or it was Pied Piper asking the Flash for help or anything like that. or to do a certain thing. Canada graphs is unclear, and that makes sense. It can be just hard to be clear as to what's going on there. But one thing that was clear is that the Flash's name does get called out, so something's happening there. And a bit later, they did a scene where they slowly encroach on the vehicle that Godspeed fell on. They get closer, and Godspeed is laying flat on top of the crumpled vehicle. So with that, it would be sort of cool if Pied Piper was sort of using his sonic gauntlets to maybe blast Godspeed into the air, and that's what makes him fall down. That'd be pretty interesting. I don't know if they'll do that, but that'd be a cool thing to watch on screen. But after that scene with Pied Piper and the Flash versing Godspeed, they moved into the street. Now, it was pouring rain, and it was very windy, and there was only a small angle to see what was going on. So there was no point really staying there too long. But the scene seemed to have Godspeed grabbing a random person and using them as a bit of a hostage situation, I guess you could say, while there's all these other people running around in a panic going, oh my god, this guy's scary and evil. Look, let's run. Now, the Flash is in that scene. That's one thing that was confirmed. However, it was unconfirmed whether Pied Piper was in that scene. It wouldn't be too surprising, if maybe they do something where it's the Flash versus Godspeed for a bit of that fight, and just them two, and then maybe Pied Piper comes in, and that's sort of where that fight leads off and ends, maybe. Or at least that segment of the episode ends, if you know what I mean. Obviously, let's move on to just discussing this. So, of course, there's going to be lots of questions asked that need to be answered around this whole Godspeed thing. One being, is it the proper Godspeed? Is it the one that all the clones are being based off? Or is it another clone like we saw in episode 1 of this season? And I guess another thing is whether Godspeed is actually connected to Black Hole or not. Now, in regards to that first one, if it's the actual Godspeed, maybe. Pretty much all of these could be a maybe and yes. I think with the Black Hole thing, I think it's always going to be a yes. I don't think they'd set up Black Hole, or at least Black Hole will be connected to Godspeed in some way, shape, or form, whether Godspeed's directly connected to them, or as if he's a worker for them, or a troop, if you want to call it, or he just Black Hole plays a role in him being there, if that makes sense. I would say if I had to choose between the actual Godspeed or a clone, I'd probably say a clone, just because they set that up earlier in the season. But you never know, they could do the actual Godspeed stuff. It is important to note that you might see the photo of Godspeed without the mask on. That's just another stunt actor. As I was saying, they're doing stunts, and that's just another stunt man. It's a different stunt man that we had last season, even in the first episode of this season. So don't look too much into that, because it is just another stuntman. I know I saw people saying, "Oh my god, he looks like August Hart from the comics." Maybe that's the reason they put him there. But he is actually a stuntman. He was the one doing the stunts. He's not like an actor like Grant Gustin, I guess you could say. Now, Pied Piper being back, but working with Team Flash this time, that obviously fits into the changes we saw with the character in the opening seasons, where he went from villain to ally. I guess another question around this is, will he have different abilities? Like, we'd heard from Eric Wallace that obviously there'd be returning villains, but also there'd be a couple of returning heroes, and Pied Piper is going to be one of those returning heroes. But will he be similar to the villains, where he might have a new ability, or maybe even different abilities and stuff like that? Based off this, it looks like he's going to have the same ones. I don't think there's a need to change him. They might do something different, where maybe I don't know, maybe he can sort of, I know it sounds weird, but maybe control people or influence people through his powers, his sonic abilities. But I think they might just keep him how he is, or maybe they just make him a tiny bit more powerful. That'll be interesting, but I don't think they'll do too many changes with the Pied Piper character. Now, there was also a van in the scenes for a comic book shop that is owned by Barney Sands, which is actually a neighbor of Barry's when he was a kid. It has a crossover in the title and everything like that, so if you do see that in some of the photos, that's what that is. Now, with Godspeed, is he now the villain? Is he the villain for the season? Obviously, this is episode 18. There's only 19, 20, 21, 22. 4 episodes after this. So, is he the villain for the season, or is he just another mercenary, or troop, if you want to call it, for this Black Hole organization? Now, as I said, this was episode 18 that they were filming, and last season, for episode 18, was the episode in which Godspeed first appeared on the show. So maybe that's the main reason they put him in this episode, as a sort of reunion or anniversary or something like that. But if you did ask me to put $10 on whether or not I thought he was the villain, I would be leaning towards yes, only based on the fact that this is episode 18, and he seems to be up to a lot that would cause Pied Piper to be involved, or at least come and help. But of course, this could just be another clone, like we saw in episode 1, Who knows exactly what is going on here? This could be another clone, and you never know. And then maybe in episode 20, the legit 100% fully evolved final version of Godspeed appears, and that's who Barry battles for the last 3 episodes. You never know. That's what could happen there. So this could be like the final draft clone, and then the next one we see is like the fully evolved perfect version or something like that. But who knows exactly what is going on here? We won't until we watch the episode, I guess. But at least a lot of people will be happy about Godspeed being back in the show later this season after that brief cameo in the premiere for this season, and what some would say is a bit of a lackluster debut in last season's episode just because of how it ended off. Personally, as most of you would know if you watch my videos, I'm not the biggest Godspeed fan, but I know a lot of people are. So due to that, I'm happy to see him on the show because I know a lot of people like seeing him. But I'm excited to see what they do with him because, it can go either way. It could really go either way, and I think it would work either way. Like, I don't think he necessarily has to be the villain, but if they did make him the villain, then I think it would work still. So I'm excited to see what they do. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over in this video. Of course, go check out Canada Graph's blog to see all the photos and all the info and all that. Links in the description. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.